So anyone who is just logging on, I just saw a couple of people log on as well. Anyone who is just logging on, again, my name is Brittany with Scott Leroy Marketing, and today we're going to be going over the website platform. So this is our website 201 class. So this means you already have your website set up and kind of live and running, but this is going to allow us to show you how to add that custom content, how to add some additional images, some additional text, as well as a mortgage calculator, some local schools, and even add in additional pages if that's something that you guys are interested in. So we'll be covering all of that today. Everything I am going to be doing today is going to be through command. That is our agent.kw.com portal, and I'm going to be logging in as Scott. I'm also using a Chrome incognito window for anyone who is generally used to using either Firefox or Safari. If you guys have any issues with today's class, I generally recommend swapping over to Chrome incognito. Lately, it has been the best option for the website tab specifically. So when making edits on that website, Chrome incognito seems to be that best option. So I'm going to go ahead and get logged in. Once we are logged into command, the first thing I like to go over before really any class is the marketing profile, just to make sure that you guys have all of your I's dotted and T's crossed, because all of the content that is going to show up on your active website is going to pull automatically from your marketing profile. So we're going to start with that by clicking on our name in the top right-hand corner, and then we're going to go ahead and click on settings. And sometimes settings does take a second to load. So if it takes a second to populate, don't panic. This is pretty much where all of the guts of command are going to stay. So all of the kind of administrative access that you guys have access to on the back end of command, it's kind of all nestled under this settings tab. So it does usually take a second to load. Once this populates for you guys, our marketing profile is going to be tucked right underneath our connect settings. And then we'll see marketing profile. We'll go ahead and click on this. And then this is our marketing profile. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I feel like I'm very zoomed out, so this is probably very small for you guys. So once you guys have this page populating, first things first is you're likely seeing your headshot and or a KW logo, depending on how your account was originally set up. One of the big things to keep in mind with your headshot is it does need to be cropped to be a square prior to adding it to this platform. If you add a rectangular image to this platform, what ends up happening is it either stretches it or it squishes it. So if you crop it to being a square, it fits beautifully within this circle. When it comes to both your team logo and your brokerage logo, which is going to be a little bit further down, those can actually be added in any shape or size, which is fantastic. It's only the headshot that is a little bit finicky. Headshot, crop it to be a square. Logos, you can import them as is, and they will actually correct themselves across your marketing. In regards to a team logo, this is a personal recommendation. I do recommend you plug something in there. Primarily, if you are going to be running marketing through the command platform, this means email campaigns, smart plans, your website, you're utilizing all of these marketing tools. If you leave that section blank, it actually shows up as a broken image on some of your marketing. Plugging in something as simple as the basic KW logo or even the realtor logo, which you guys can pull up right online. If you plug that in, it will at least fill those gaps and it will just plug in that realtor logo. I've also seen some agents even use like the equal housing logo. That's fine. It just shows up right next to your brokerage logo on all of your marketing. So it still looks like it's supposed to be there. And if you have a team logo, you can plug that in as well. For your contact information, or basically your main details, you do want to make sure that you're following compliance when you guys are plugging this information in. So if you guys do have specific items that need to be on all of your marketing, for example, a specific job title, maybe specific designations, your license number has to populate, whatever it may be, make sure that you are plugging that in accordingly. This also applies to your name. If you go by a nickname, but your board and office require that you have your full legal name, make sure that you're plugging that in here because again, this is kind of like your ground zero for marketing. This is where every piece of marketing for command and even some of your external marketing sources are going to pull from this marketing profile for you. So generally also external marketing sources, your mobile app and your office's website, they're all going to pull from this profile. Let's scroll down a smidge more. We have our affiliation. So if you are affiliated with the military, you can select whichever one applies to you. Once you select the affiliation, the branch will show up on the right-hand side, and you can select the branch from that dropdown as well. When it comes to your bio, you do want to make sure that you plug your bio in here in the exact way that you want it to show up on all of your marketing. You'll notice that Scott's bio does have line breaks in between these two sections. He just hit enter a couple of times to split those up. That is completely fine. This is exactly how it will show up on his mobile app, on his website, and any of the marketing platforms that pull his bio. For the contact information, you'll notice that recently there was a country option selected. This is now available, which is pretty cool. That wasn't there before, but you guys do have access to plug your phone numbers in. They should also auto format as you type them in, which is beautiful. They will also show up as not only formatted on all of your marketing, but they will also show up as clickable from mobile devices automatically, which just saves so much time. You've ever tried to go to a website that doesn't have a clickable phone number, you're trying to copy it from your cell phone to paste it, it's a nightmare. So it happens automatically anytime your clients either try to call you from the mobile app, or if they go across your website and they just happen to be on a mobile device or any sort of device they can make phone calls on, it will be clickable, which is pretty neat as well. Just saves them time. In regards to your mobile and office, make sure that, again, you are following compliance. If your office does require their number to be on marketing, make sure you plug that office number in as well. When it comes to your email and your website email, this is going to be whichever email you want to be running your business through. It does not have to be the Keller Williams email. However, if that's the one you plan on running all of your real estate business through, that's the one you'll want to populate here. However, if you came into Keller Williams from a different brokerage, maybe you've been a real estate agent for quite some time, that's also completely fine. Use whichever email you want on your marketing. For the website, couple of quick tips here. If you guys have a website that ends in .kw.com, this means that you are using the KW provided URL. Make sure you do not have www. At the beginning of the URL. If www. Is at the beginning of your URL, either here or on any of your marketing, this includes your email signature if you added it there, you want to make sure that that is removed because the command provided URLs ending in .kw.com will not work with www. So by having that on your marketing, sometimes clients will automatically type that in, or if it's a clickable link, for example, this will end up being a clickable link, having that www. Pulls up an error message when they click it. So making sure that that's removed is definitely important. I also recommend adding HTTPS semicolon / to the beginning of the URL. This is going to make this URL clickable from all of your marketing, which is pretty nice. It happens automatically. This also means that from your mobile app, from any marketing material that you send out, this includes even email campaigns or smart plans that might have your email signatures attached to it, anything along those lines where you're using that email template provided, it will hyperlink your website automatically, which again, just takes a little bit of that hassle off of your client. They'll be able to click directly on it and get to your website. If you guys are using a custom domain and maybe not ending in .kw.com, if you're unsure how to plug that in here, just let us know and we can take a look, as this will depend on where the domain was purchased and how it was originally set up. So there's a couple of moving parts there. For your brokerage information, this is your brokerage logo. I know it looks very funky right here, but it does correct itself on all of your marketing and it will show up beautifully. As far as the brokerage information on the right-hand side, just do a quick once over and make sure this information looks correct. If you're practicing real estate in Sarasota, Florida, but here it says California, make sure that that's updated. If you recently transferred offices, or maybe you're with a business center, a smaller office out of a market center, you're with a team office, anything along those lines, just make sure that this information makes sense. Scrolling down a smidge more, we have our compliance section. You do have 3 items for compliance. You have access to add legal footer text, which generally is left blank. I think we actually have one office that has specific text that is required. If you have each office is independently owned and operated plugged in here, you can remove it because that's actually a default piece that shows on all of your marketing. So by typing it in here, it will show up twice on everything and it's right on top of each other. So if you do have each office is independently owned and operated or something along those lines, you can remove it. It will happen automatically, so you don't have to worry about it. You also have access to add legal footer links. Any of my Texas real estate agents or New York real estate agents, you guys have specific URLs that need to be added to everything. You'll notice that we have a couple of variations here. I have my Texas URLs, information about brokerage services, and the CPN notice. And then I have my New York standard operating procedure, the SOP. If you guys are with either state, make sure that you have those URLs added. The URL itself will vary because they will be independently owned by you. If you need help setting any of these up, or if you're under the impression that maybe you should have something there and you're not sure, you can also touch base with your head broker in charge. They'll be able to let you know if there's anything specific for compliance that needs to be plugged in. But New York and Texas, you guys should have a couple of links here. New York should have 2 and Texas should have 2. You also have legal footer images. So these are a great way to get some legal footer images added to the bottom of your website and marketing. The only thing to keep in mind is they are super tiny. So they only show up as 126 by 48 pixels. Or 128 by 48 pixels. So they are very, very tiny. They do show up at the bottom of all of your marketing, and they will cover the compliance regulation. So if for compliance reasons you need something added, it is within that reason, but just keep in mind, I've seen some folks try to add like vendor logos or things there in order to promote vendors. Try and get something that is less wordy and more of an image if that's the case, just because it will show up a little bit clearer. I've also seen agents take this area to add some designation logos. If they've acquired additional designations over the years, that's completely fine. That is a very creative way to get those logos added to all of your marketing. Just again, keep in mind that they show up super small. So try and grab logos that are just less text, more of an image, so just so they're clear. Scrolling down to our social media platforms, you guys have access to add the URLs in here. You have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and then YouTube and LinkedIn. Again, this is a personal opinion. In regards to the social media platforms, try to make sure that you are adding a business page here. It's not technically required, but it will be clickable from all of your marketing. So making sure that they're real estate related, their business, they're professional, is just kind of a heads up because they do show up everywhere. So it will automatically hyperlink itself on your website as well. So your clients will have a direct link to your social media platforms, which if they're promoting real estate is fantastic. If not, maybe not so fantastic. So just kind of piece of advice just in case. If you haven't had a chance to create business pages yet, don't panic. We have tip videos on how to set them up. They overall maybe take 5 to 7 minutes, depending on the page. And then you can start building content on that as well. So once you guys have those URLs, you can plug the full URL in. All that is just the URL that shows up in the browser. And then you would paste that in here. For YouTube and LinkedIn, as long as YouTube is geared towards real estate, whether you're doing open houses, maybe you're doing seminars, anything along those lines, that's perfect. And LinkedIn, really anything you create through LinkedIn is going to be business related. It's a professional platform outright, so you guys should be golden there. We also have our Google Analytics platform. So Google Analytics is in the process of going through kind of like a zhuzh. They're updating it right now. Google went through an update last summer that Command is still kind of updating to reflect those new changes. Keller Williams International is adjusting the system to reflect those updates. But Google Analytics, they did go through kind of an update. So if you guys are having issues with this, don't panic. It is a known issue. We're hopeful that it will be updated soon. That being said, once it is updated, Google Analytics is used to track the traffic of your website, which is pretty neat. So once that is back online, what will happen is Google Analytics can be set up. It provides you with a tracking code. You plug it in here, and it will actually track the clicks and traffic of your Command website, which that's pretty neat. It's a nice thing to have access to. So yes, we are hopeful that that will be available soon. But if you guys are hitting any hiccups, just let us know and we can always check it out for you. If you did make any changes here, make sure we click on save all the way down at the bottom. And then we should get a little prompt that just says our marketing profile was successfully saved. I can X out of this. Last but not least, our green toggle switch. We want to make sure that this is green. If you're seeing a gray toggle switch, make sure that you click that and get that green bubble. This is kind of like the green light that all of your marketing that you just put all that time into is being shared with your Command platform. If you're not seeing that green bubble, it means that this is all hidden. If you're also not seeing this green bubble, it means that once you toggle it, it can take up to 72 hours for everything to brand. So don't panic if it's not instant. It's usually a 2 overnight feed. Once you guys have confirmed that is all set, we are going to go ahead and click on the consumer tab on the left-hand side. This is the last icon all the way down on the bottom. And this is going to bring us directly into the website platform. So once you guys have this loaded and the website platform has loaded on your end, first things first is your screen should look pretty similar to mine, meaning you likely have a couple of pages loaded. If you've only done Website 101, or maybe you were an agent that was just set up by our team, we went ahead and launched your initial website. This probably looks pretty familiar. You probably have contact us, and about me, and you have a bunch of teal eyeballs. You should also have an active URL at the top of the page. This is your existing command populated website. So if you guys ever need to kind of confirm your URL, maybe you're checking to see if a page is live on your website, this consumer tab is going to do the trick. It's going to let you see your URL. It's also going to let you see which pages are live. These teal eyeballs that you'll notice as I hover over them are clickable. This is letting me know that these are live pages on our website already. For today's class, we're going to go ahead and add a couple of additional pages, but what I generally do to avoid jumping around is create all of the pages together, and then at the end of class, we'll go in and make them all live together. It's less jumping around for you guys, so I feel like it's a little bit easier to follow. So just as a heads up, as far as going through these pages, if you guys have already added custom pages previously, when we get to that last step, we're going to click no. If you click yes, no worries, you can still backtrack. But I just want to give you guys a heads up now, just in case you go ahead. But we're going to go ahead and add a couple of pages today. Just to reiterate, we're going to do the testimonial capture page. We're going to do a mortgage calculator, and then also a school search widget. And then I'm also going to show you guys how to add some custom content and embed a video into your website, just in case that's something you guys might be interested in. So as far as adding new pages, thankfully the process is the exact same every single time. This is also noted in the notes I dropped in the chat, just in case you guys need it. And I apologize in advance because it does get a little bit redundant because the process is the same. But we're going to go ahead and click on our create new page in the top right-hand corner. And then anytime you're trying to create a page on your website, we're going to go ahead and leave our on our agent website. If you guys are looking to create a standalone landing page, which that class I believe is next week, it's next Tuesday, that would be a standalone landing page. But for this one, we'll do on my agent site. And then we'll do create page. Once this comes up, it pulls up pretty much a blank slate. This is kind of like our blank slate. This is where we're going to add all of our information. And first things first, recommendation, give it a name. That way, if you decide to save halfway through, maybe you have to change location, you get a phone call, you want to make sure you save what you have, give it a name. That way you're able to locate it nice and easily under that consumer tab. So this one is going to be our testimonial capture page. So that's exactly what I'm going to call it. Testimonial capture. You can call it leave a review. You can call it testimonial grab. You can call it whatever is going to make sense to you. This is going to be the page that will allow your clients to leave a review right on your website. Once you guys have that plugged in, we're going to go ahead and just kind of go over the widgets on the right-hand side, just so you know what their function is. We have our team widget. If you're associated with a team that's recognized by the office, you can use this to essentially promote the folks who are on your team and your active team. If you're an independent agent, this will have no use. It doesn't pull any data if you're not actively on a team that's recognized by the Market Center. We have our agent profile, which we'll use shortly. This is essentially a duplicate of the same page you likely have on your website currently called About Me. It's basically your bio page. It's a widget that's going to allow you to add a picture and some text, and it makes it look nice and clean. We'll use this for our school search shortly. We also have the contact form. The contact form sounds exactly what it is. It's essentially a way for your clients to contact you. Think of it as a way for them to drop their information into that box, and it will get directly over to you through command. The contact form isn't something that we generally use, only because there is an automated contact widget at the bottom of your website automatically. So this ends up being a little bit redundant, and it's usually not needed. For the testimonial carousel and the testimonial list, they both do the same service. However, they look differently. So testimonial carousel is, you guessed it, a carousel of your testimonials. It's essentially a rotating version of your testimonials, and it shows up to 4 per time. We also have the testimonial list, which will allow you to promote up to 12. We have our company profile, which is very similar to the About Us page that the automated, if you guys went through Website 101, or if not, if you look at the About Us page on your website, that is the template that was used to create that page. We also have our testimonial capture form, which we'll be using today, and then the download my app widget, which automatically hyperlinks to your app specifically and will allow your clients to download your app not only from your computer or from their mobile device, but if they go to this page on a computer, it will still allow them to create a consumer login and start saving properties, which is pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and utilize the testimonial capture form. And in utilizing any of these widgets, all we want to do is click down on the one we want. And I'm holding down my mouse. You'll notice I've kind of grabbed it. And I'm just going to drag it over and drop it on my blank slate. You'll notice it gives me that green bar. It's letting me know that that's where I'm hovering. And once I drop it and release my mouse, it's just going to drop it in that blank area. And anytime you guys are using any of these widgets, that's exactly how you'll be able to add those. And once you guys have that added in, it will remain with that gray overlay. Don't panic. It's because we haven't configured this yet, but we're going to go ahead and click on our configure widgets. This is going to allow us to customize this to kind of have more of our information. So once you guys have dragged and dropped that, we'll go ahead and click on configure widgets on the bottom right. Once this page pops up, we're just going to select the widget that we're looking to edit. And then this will bring us to essentially the editable area for this particular widget. So all this means is all of our edits, when we're making edits to any sort of widget in most of the pages, the reason why I say most is because if you're doing custom content, this will likely be done outside of Command, which we'll go over at the end of class. But as far as editing any sort of widget that you guys are utilizing on the website, all of that editing is going to be done on this right-hand side. You won't actually make edits in this section. This is more of a giant preview section. So on the right-hand side, you'll notice that we have access to plug in a team name. So team name, we have access to plug in either our name, or if you are on a team, whether you're working with multiple agents, maybe a spouse team, or maybe you're just branding yourself as a specific team, that's also completely fine. This is what you'll want to plug in here. So for this one, I'm just going to put Scott Leroy Marketing. For our headline is going to show up exactly where this headline text is showing. Generally here, I usually put leave a review. You can put leave a testimonial, how did we do, anything along those lines is completely fine. This is, you guys can kind of brand this based on however you want this to populate for your clients. So I'll put leave a review. I added an exclamation point. And then underneath that, we have our description. Generally for the description, if you're looking to edit this, you certainly can. For this one, I'm going to leave it as is because it covers what we're looking to have done. So if you guys decide you want to tweak this, you can always come back in and swap that out as well. Nothing you guys do on any of these pages are set in stone. So you can edit any of these at any point in time. So now that we have this plugged in, you'll see it says, thank you for being a valued client. This is essentially the blurb that we're leaving as is in our description. We have our review headline, which is going to show up down here a little bit. So I have, how would you rate your experience? If you want to change that, you can. You have up to 80 characters. I'm going to leave that as is. And then we have our clickable stars that will automatically show up underneath. So your clients can give you a 5-star review. Underneath that, we have our review placeholder text. This is going to be the gray text that shows up in the actual review text box once this page is live. So in other words, it's kind of like a suggestion as to what you're looking for from your client. This is something, again, you do have access to edit. You have up to 400 characters here. I'm going to leave this as is because again, it covers the bases in regards to what we're looking for as a testimonial. Once you've made any edits, really just plugging in your team name and your headline, we can go ahead and save and apply. And all this is going to do is it's just going to apply those edits for you. So now you're going to be able to see on your preview, here's our headline, leave a review. It has how would you rate your experience? It has our team name. It also plugs our team name in on the bottom that says, would you recommend Scott Leroy Marketing? Yes, I would. No, I would not. So it lets you see exactly where that information is going to plug into the system. Once that's showing up the way that you'd like it to, and keep in mind, if you do want to tweak this, again, it's not set in stone. I'll show you guys how to get into edit these as well. But once you guys have that plugged in, we're going to go ahead and do save changes on the top right. And then this is where we're going to click no. So generally, you would go ahead and click yes, specifically because that's going to make the page live for you and allow you to add all of the information on the back end of that page. But in doing that, where we are adding multiple pages, it is a lot of jumping around. So for these, we're going to go ahead and click no, and then we'll go and make them live all together at the end and make it a little bit easier. So I'll go ahead and click no. And what that does is it saves exactly what I did. It has everything saved on here. I have my title. It tells me when I created it. And then I have a gray eyeball. Gray eyeball just means it's not live on my website yet. I also have access to click on these 3 dots and go in and edit at any point in time. You can even do this for existing pages that are already live. If you edit an existing page, you'll still have access to do the exact same edits if it were live or not. And it will allow you to either update them in real time when it's live, or if I come into a page that is not currently live and to make an edit, once I go to save changes, it will just, I would go ahead and click yes and make that live on my website. So you guys do have access to edit these at any point in time. So just in case, if you guys want to make changes later on, no worries. For the next page we're going to add, it's going to be the mortgage calculator. So the mortgage calculator is an external page. So I'm going to go ahead and share the page with you guys, but I want to make sure that we get that platform, that website page set up so it's ready for that information first. So as far as getting that page created, we're going to do our create new page once more. We will leave our on my agent site selected and do our create page again. And then for this one, I'm just going to call this mortgage calculator. And again, this is more so for your sanity when you go to make these live at the end, or if you ever have to make an edit, you're going to know exactly what page it is. So for our mortgage calculator, we are going to utilize 2 widgets, essentially 1 widget and 1 content block. First things first is we're going to utilize our download my app widget. So I'm going to go ahead the exact same way that we did our testimonial capture. And I'm just going to click down on this widget and drag it over to my blank slate. And I'm just going to drop it. So just drag and drop on that blank area. Are you guys having audio issues or are you guys all set? I did see one come through. Okay. If somebody is having audio issues, if you guys need the recording, just shoot an email over to our support email, and I can get that over to you too. If you missed anything, no worries. I'll get the recording over to you. I apologize. Internet's always fun. Once you guys have drag and dropped that over, we're now going to take a look at content blocks. It should be nestled right above our configure widgets. And when we click on that, we have 2 options. We have an image and we have text. We are going to be utilizing the text option because this is going to allow us to add an HTML code for that interactive mortgage calculator. So in order to add this, and I'm going to explain this as thoroughly as possible before you guys click anything. So in order to add this, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did for the widgets. We're going to click and drag it. But notice when I drag it over, I have a green line at the top, or if I'm too far down, it's a green line at the bottom. that green line is telling me where this text box is going to show up. This is going to be a page promoting a mortgage calculator. So we want that mortgage calculator to be front and center, meaning I want that green line to be above my mobile app widget. This is going to ensure that when I paste that code in, the mobile app is going to be at the bottom and your mortgage calculator is going to be at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this text box above my mobile app widget already. And you'll notice that the text box shows up right at the top. So just keep an eye as to where that green line shows up. And then while you guys are finalizing that, I'm going to go ahead and grab the URL for the mortgage calculator so I can drop that in the chat for you guys. And then this is all hyperlinked in the notes as well. So don't panic. Everything that we're going over is typed out verbatim in those notes. So if you need to go back and double check anything, if you just want to watch and do it later, if you want to do only 2 of the 3 pages, completely fine. You guys will have indefinite access to those notes as well. And everything's clickable and all of that on there as well. So once you guys have that page up, and if you guys are working off the notes, the full HTML code is also on there. You can copy it directly from there. But once we have this page up, we're just going to scroll down until we see step 2, copy your source code. And it is as easy as clicking copy to clipboard. It will flash copied really quick. And that just means that we've grabbed this entire code. And while you guys are catching up, if we scroll down a little bit further, this is the mortgage calculator we're adding. This is exactly what it's going to look like. You'll notice it's fully interactive. They can come in here and they can update information. It will automatically update in real time. So pretty cool. So once you've copied that to your clipboard, we'll go back to our command. And I'm just going to double click to highlight kind of like the placeholder text that's there because I really don't want insert your text here on my website. I'm just going to highlight that and I'm going to right click and paste right over it. Sorry, all of the holiday deliveries are coming in. I don't know if you can hear all the trucks. And then once we have our code added in, I'm just going to go ahead and highlight this. And I'm going to click this little icon. This is essentially the link icon. Sometimes it will show up for me, sometimes it doesn't. But once we click this, what it's going to do is it's going to make this code live. So if you have other HTML that you're looking to add, maybe you have some additional widgets from third-party platforms, they are completely compatible with Command as long as they are HTML. JavaScript does not get along with Command. They don't work well. HTML, you are golden, and that is more common. So if you come across a widget and it gives you a crazy code, you can follow the exact same process we're doing right now, and it will work as well. So once I click on my little link icon, I'll give it a second to load. There's our beautiful mortgage calculator. Automatically fills into the text, and then I have my download my app at the bottom. This is going to allow your clients to come in here and essentially find out, how much they can afford, what can they buy, whatever it may be. And then they'll also have access to download your app as well. Scroll back up to the top. Once you guys have confirmed that this is showing up, again, you just have to click that link button. Once you've confirmed that this is showing up, we're just going to go ahead and do save changes once more. And then we'll do a no again. And now we have our second page. For our third page, we're going to do a school search widget. This is pretty cool because it's going to allow your clients to look at schools based on their area. Yes, we will plug in kind of like a default location. However, your clients aren't stuck with that location. So what I generally recommend, especially if you practice real estate in a populated area or you're near like a very large city or anything along those lines, I usually recommend pulling an area that will have XYZ, will have some data, some content for this particular widget. I live just outside of Sarasota, Florida. I usually use Sarasota for this default, for this example, just because I know Sarasota is going to pull infinite data versus my small little town that's right near Sarasota. We have one school. So it's a little bit of a different thing. I'm only about 20 minutes outside of the area. So just keep that in mind as we plug this in. So same thing as our mortgage calculator is we're going to go ahead and get that page set up first before we start plugging information. So we're going to do our create new page again, leave our on my agent site selected and create page. And then for this one, I'm just going to put school search as the name. That way I know what it is when I go to make it live. And then for this one, we are going to use our agent profile widget. So exact same thing. You guys are going to be pros at this. Exact same thing for the last two pages. We're going to click on our widget and we're just going to drag it over to our blank slate and then release the mouse. And this is something that I think this is good to know. If you guys do have custom content you're looking to add and you have HTML, if it's a smaller item, for example, I've seen some agents add like clickable links to vendors. Vendors sometimes have those readily available. They can send you an HTML that has like a clickable link with their logo. And then when clients click on the logo, it brings them to their website. This widget is fantastic for that because it keeps them so organized. So when it comes time to adding this, all we're going to do is we're going to click on our configure widgets, exactly like before. We'll select on agent profile. And this gives us all of the edits available. So as far as the picture goes, I generally leave it as Scott's headshot. I've seen some folks get like a cute little stock photo of like a school. Maybe you have like, I don't know, a map you want to add. Just make sure that it's an image that you have legal rights to use before you plug it in, whether it's an image that or a picture that you physically took. I've seen some very creative real estate agents add pictures that they've drawn. Whatever you have, you can plug that in. Just make sure that you do have kind of legal availability to use it. Don't just pull a image off of Google, make sure that you're pulling it from stock photos. But if you guys are swapping that out, you can delete and re-add a new image. For our page title, we are going to go ahead and put in local school search. So I'm just going to replace this with local school search. For our role and company, I'm going to delete what's there, and I'm going to put search for schools in your area. And I'm going to I have these on another screen. I'm just going to drop them in the chat for you guys. Just because I feel like that's probably going to make it a little bit easier, just in case you guys don't want to type this out. There you go. All righty, search for schools in your area. And then for our bio title, you'll notice that we have our little red asterisk. I'm just going to go ahead and put a space here in order to abide by. It needs something, but we really don't want anything here. This is what that bio title is. So I'm just going to put a space and it makes it happy and nothing will show up there. For our agent bio, we are going to wipe this out completely. So I'm going to do select all and just remove everything. Once you guys see enter agent bio in gray ... that means this is completely empty and you are ready for the code. So we just want to make sure that your page looks similar to this one. Local school search for schools in your area. You guys can swap these out too. This is just what I put. If you guys want to get creative, by all means. And then bio title, if you do want to put something there, you can. A space will also suffice. And then we just want to clear out the bio. Once that is all set, I'm going to go ahead and I'll pull up the next page while you guys are getting that updated. Great schools. I'll drop this in the chat for you guys. And then once you guys have this open on another tab, we're just going to go ahead and plug in the basics. So the first thing that it asks for is either choose an address, a zip code, or a city and state. I generally recommend going with a city and state because to me that covers a larger area. But if you want to plug in like a specific address or you want to plug in a zip code, also completely fine. You'll notice the preview down here has Fremont, California. I'm going to go ahead with my Sarasota. Oh my goodness, I could spell Sarasota. There we go. Sarasota, Florida. The second I click outside of my little text box, you'll notice it updated with my location. So now it's likely looking a little bit different than mine because this should be pulling whatever location, city and state you guys plugged in here. Once you guys have plugged that in, our width and height will leave as is because this is perfect for the platform that we're going to be pasting it into. For our email, we're going to put whatever email you guys want on your marketing. Generally, this is more so what they'll do is they'll send updates if there's anything changing or if like in your area, I've seen a couple of things come through if like school information changes, kind of cool. So I would put an email that you check in here. So I'm just going to put Scott's email in here. And then for our website URL, we just want to plug in our command website URL. If you're unsure what that is, you can come back in here later. That's completely fine. I'm just going to go ahead and put Scott's website in here. Marketing.kw.com. And once you guys have those basics plugged in, so our city state, our email address, our website URL, we're going to check off our terms of service box. And then you'll notice that the get widget code button is now clickable. So I can go ahead and click on this and it's going to give me that massive code again. So once you guys have this code populating, you can double click, you can Control A, whatever you need to do in order to get the entire code. You can cut it. I usually just copy it. They're going to do the exact same thing. I just like to know that there's a backup just in case I mess this up. I have a backup code kind of waiting for me on a separate tab. So once you've highlighted and you've copied your code, we're going to go back over to our command tab and the angry red box with your bio. We are going to go ahead and right click and paste this in. And then I'm going to go ahead and save and apply just to show you guys that it looks a little bit funky. And then I'm going to show you guys how to fix it. So when I click save and apply, notice it's left aligned. I don't know if that drives anybody else crazy, but it drives me crazy. So we're going to go ahead and center this. In order to do that, all I'm going to do is scroll up to the very top of my agent bio, and you can stretch this if it's easier for you guys to see it. But I'm going to scroll all the way up to the top to where I see that little caret or less than greater than symbol. And I'm going to make sure my cursor is right before that. And I'm going to do another caret. I don't even know what you call these things. Less than, greater than, whatever bracket. You're going to do the one pointing to the left. You're going to type in the word center. And then you're going to do the one pointing to the right. And then sometimes it works with only this one, but sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to copy that and you can even just retype it. We're going to do the exact same thing at the end of the code. So you can either retype it left, center, right, or I'm just going to paste mine in. And this will, again, work with any HTML code. So if you guys have an HTML, again, this is going to come in handy with those vendor logos. If you guys have a vendor you want to add here, you can do that and it will essentially center it. So that way you don't have a bunch of left aligned logos. They automatically left align. But once you add your center button or your center code, you save and apply, that's just going to center it, or it's going to panic on me. There we go. Because I had already saved and applied. If you guys didn't save and apply and you click it once after you do the update, it will show up beautifully. If not, just click it twice and it should register. But this you'll notice now is centered. So again, this will work with clickable logos. It will work with maybe you have a new construction widget. I've seen some boards provide new construction widgets. or luxury widgets, or really anything. I've seen a couple of things come across our systems. But if you guys have a specific HTML platform that you're looking to add, this is a great tool to do it. So once we have that plugged in, we're going to go ahead and do our save changes once more. But this time we're going to actually click on yes in order to make this page live. And then we'll make our other 2 pages live as well. So we'll go ahead and click on yes. And if you guys jumped ahead and clicked no, don't panic. On the top right-hand side of your consumer tab, if you click on site and app settings, and then agent site pages, it will bring you exactly to where we are. So consumer tab, site and app settings, and then click on the agent site pages, and it will bring you to exactly where that yes button brings you to. Now that we're back here, we're going to go ahead and do add page. And I'm just going to work from the bottom up. So I'm going to start with my testimonial capture, and I'll do continue. And now we're just going to add kind of like the meat and potatoes to the actual page. So we need a page title, we need a slug. This is the URL for that physical page. And then we need an SEO description. So these are all noted on the notes for you guys. I'm also going to go ahead and drop them in the chat for you. That way you guys don't have to physically type all of this out, make life a little bit easier. So for my title, I'm going to paste in my leave a review. For my slug, I have leave a review. And I pasted this into the Zoom chat just in case you guys need it. If somebody's watching the recording, I've hyperlinked the notes in the bio for the recording, so you guys have access to them as well. And the dashes act as spaces. So if you guys ever have a page that maybe has multiple words and you don't want to smush it all together, it's obviously much more legible when you have those dashes. Then I have my SEO, and I'm going to replace this with Scott Leroy. So leave a review with dashes, and then tell us about your experience with Scott Leroy. And then I can go ahead and save it. And that's going to make that a live page on my website. And then I can do my next one, add a page. And then we'll just kind of work our way up, mortgage calculator. And if you guys skipped a page, maybe you want to go back and add one later, no worries, you can do the pages that you have now. So I'll do mortgage calculator. I select my bubble and just do continue. And now I'm going to go ahead and plug in my mortgage calculator information. Dropping that in the chat for you guys at the same time. Do mortgage calculator. And then for my slug, I'm just going to paste that in and do a dash. And then for our SEO description, I dropped it in the chat as well. I usually put like mortgage calculator to assist with the home buying process. You can even say like how much house can you buy, or how much house can you afford, or see how much house you can afford, anything along those lines. It is completely up to you. This can be customized to fit your needs. You just need to have something in here. So mortgage calculator, and our SEO blurb. And I'll go ahead and save this one as well. My green ribbon just means it's officially live on my website. And then last but not least is our school search, dropping that in the chat as well. So I'll do add page. We'll select our school search and continue. And then I'm going to plug in local school search. And then my SE or my URL, I just have school search just to kind of shorten it a little bit, but you can add local if you'd like. And then SEO is search for schools in your area. And now I'm going to go ahead and save this just so that page is locked in. And then this is just kind of personal recommendation. Contact us generally should be last, because your whole kind of push for your website is you're providing them with value in order for them to leave you their information. So generally putting contact us last is recommended. I also usually recommend putting leave a review right above it, because that's normally, you want your clients to be drawn in by the content you can provide. Then you're asking something from them because they've had access to your value. So just in case you wonder why we always do that. But as far as that goes, once I've reorged the ones that I want to kind of wherever I want them to populate, I can click save once more just to make sure I lock that in. And then before jumping over to the custom content, I want to show you guys how to kind of mess around with that text box a little bit. I also want to show you, if you come in here, say you have a revised page you want to swap this out with. When you come in here, and again, I'll start from scratch. If I come into consumer and I click on site and app settings and agent site pages, that's where it drops us to this editable page platform. This is where you guys can make those tweaks. So you can change the title just by clicking on it. It will give me access to the mortgage calculator again, about me, whatever it may be. You guys can tweak all of these. But say I have a revised version. Maybe you found a different local school search you want to use. Maybe you put in the wrong city and state and had to create a new page. Whatever it may be, you can swap out the page associated with this existing page by clicking on these three dots as well. So if I click on these three dots and do select page, I have access to select any of these bubbles, and it will actually replace the existing live page. So say I want to replace the school search with like contact us, would not recommend this, but if you wanted to, I could select this bubble, click continue, and it will actually swap the entire page out for me. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. You also have access to delete. If you delete it from here, it will not delete it from your agent site pages, which is just your default consumer. It will just show up as a gray eyeball. All this delete does is it removes it from your active website. It does not delete the content. So if you have a spelling mistake or maybe just an aesthetic error, maybe something just shows up a little bit funky, you can definitely delete it from your live website while it's under construction. And then once it's ready to be added again, you'll just go through the same process we just did: consumer, site and app settings, agent site pages, and re-add that page. So last but not least, we're going to go into our consumer section. And I'm going to show you guys how to plug in some custom content really quick, just so you guys can see what it looks like and really how easy it is. It's fantastic. I'll show you guys how to do that. And then I'm also going to drop the testimonial. We have a testimonial tip video. I'll drop that in the chat, and it's also in the notes on how to add your testimonials themselves. So to take a look at our live website, I'll show you guys what the pages look like. I'm done with that one. So for the live website, we have our pages are now showing up on our dropdown, starting with my mortgage calculator. The first time you guys go to a page, when you first make it live, it takes a second to load. Don't panic. It's because it is so new. Generally, once you go to it once, it should load pretty quickly moving forward. But always that first time, it just takes a second to register. We have our school search beautifully centered. And you'll also notice, so as I zoom in and zoom out, it doesn't alter anything because it's updated with that center. It automatically stays perfect. It doesn't adjust. It doesn't tweak. It looks good on mobile. So that's kind of nice to know as well. Last but not least, leave a review. So this is the interactive form that your clients can fill out, and the back end of your command account actually collects your testimonials, which I'll show you guys in a second. So if you guys do have testimonials that you want to manually add, you can also plug these in here. Just remember to select your 5 stars, place your review in here, and all of this information is required. However, you can manipulate on the back end what actually shows up. So you're not stuck using all of this information. It's just required when it's submitted. You can even manipulate it to put like a space or something like that. But I'll be honest, once you plug it in, you can just remove it from the back end of your website. So maybe only first name, the 5 stars, and the review show up. Maybe you don't want last name, address, or client since. That's completely fine. You, as the owner of the website, has access to manipulate how that shows up. So, but we do have a tip video that goes over the full process just in case you guys need it. So I'll make sure that I drop that in the chat before we go as well. But as far as adding custom content, and this is going to be relatively quick, I don't want to keep you guys super late. I apologize. We always go over. For this one, create a new page. It's the same process we've done. And then I'm going to do on my agent site and create page. Once I have this up, a couple of things I want to show you guys. I'm just going to call this test page. That way you guys can just see what this looks like. A couple of things that you may have noticed. In order for a page to be saved, it needs to have an actual widget added. So for this, if I want to do just content blocks, for example, maybe I have text, maybe I have images I want to add. In order for me to add this information, I need to also have a widget on the page in order to save changes. You'll notice that when I hover over it, it even tells me to publish, click configure widget at the bottom and fill in all required fields. If you're not using a widget, there's no way to configure it. So in order to kind of navigate this, I have access to utilize a text box. I can drag and drop this over. And the beauty of utilizing a text box is text boxes will actually allow not only text, but it's also going to allow you to add images as long as they are on a Google Doc. So I have a test Google Doc kind of already thrown together. We use this one for every class. So if it looks familiar, I apologize. My beautiful stock photos. So as far as this goes, it lets you kind of just update the information. So anybody who's ever used Microsoft Word, pretty much Google Doc, it's just the Google version of it. But because this information is being kind of housed or hosted on a URL, as you'll notice that this Google document actually has a URL, it kind of plays like a host for these images. So what that means is when I copy this content from this Word document and paste it into the text box on that command page, these images are going to show up exactly as they show up on this screen, because this page is acting as kind of a host for that image. If you've ever copied and pasted an image anywhere and you get that sad Lego, that broken image that basically says this image is no longer available, that's because there's no platform hosting that image. So it essentially isn't available once you paste it. It loses that formatting, it loses that source. This fixes that problem for you. So if you guys have custom content, you guys have blogs, maybe you have a list of vendors, maybe you just have some information that you want to add. I've seen some agents that want to do like local events or things like that. You guys can get as creative as you want. You guys can create designs through command. You can plop them onto a Google document, and then you can copy directly from the Google document by just highlighting, copying. You'll notice that all of my stuff is centered. I can come back over to command. I can just double click my placeholder text, just like we did with our mortgage calculator, and I can paste right over it, and it pastes in exactly how it was on the Google Doc. And this is going to stay centered no matter how I zoom, no matter how close it is, no matter how far away, it stays centered because it's copying the formatting from this section and it was centered. For images, when you guys are adding images to a Google document, in order for it to work properly, make sure that you are coming into the insert section of the Google Doc, just like a Word doc, and do insert image and snag it from your computer. Or if you have it in a different area, you can do it from there. I keep them all on my actual computer, my desktop. So you would just grab it from your actual computer and then it will plop it in here. You can center it, you can size it, you can shrink it, make it larger, whatever you guys want. You can update and make all of your edits in here. And now, not only do you have a carbon copy of the content that you added to your website, because heaven forbid, if you click something and you accidentally delete all of this, this can get a little bit funky very quickly if you try to make edits in here and you're trying to, italicize or bold, you're trying to change font, anything like that. If the formatting gets messed up, if anything happens, you can literally just delete the text box, re-add it, and repaste that same information in, because it's all sitting on this Google document. Favorite this, throw it on your favorites bar. You can even download it as a hard copy if you want a hard copy for the content itself, because then coming back in here, if you guys already have a Word document that you put together and you're sitting there saying, oh my goodness, I do not want to have to redo this on a Google document, no problem. Open up a Google document. It's literally docs.google.com, file, open, and it will give you access to open any files that you need to. So you guys have access to pull from your drive, your computer, all of it. So if you guys ever have content that you're trying to add and you're trying to organize it, Don't pull your hair out. You can do it right on this platform, and it makes it so much easier because you have that carbon copy. You won't lose it. And plus I feel like it's a lot easier to edit things on here because you can change the fonts, you can change what it looks like, you can change the color of fonts. You have a lot more customization within this Google document because it's going to give you more options. So once I go ahead and essentially say I want to stick with this, I still need to add a widget to my page. So I can go ahead and just drop my mobile app one at the bottom. My computer just froze for a second. And then I can go ahead, as far as these options go, we do have tip videos that go over each item of these. So if you guys need additional help on this, just let us know. But as far as this section goes, we do have access to kind of hide certain things as well. So generally, once your mobile app widget is added, you can also hide the information, which is kind of neat. So if you guys want to hide the widget specifically, you can come in here and hide just the mobile app widget. So in other words, your text and everything is going to show up, but you'll be able to hide the additional information at the bottom. As far as adding images, you do still have access to add images using the content blocks. I just generally recommend using the text option because then you can have obviously text in between. But if you are looking to do specifically an image, you can also do that just by dragging and dropping the image. It lets you select from your computer. You can drag and drop. You can also add a URL if you've hosted it, and then it will allow you to add the image in. As far as centering the image, it's a little bit more difficult. We do have tip videos on that as well. That's why I normally recommend just run it through a Google Doc, and then you won't have to worry about going through manually centering it using this paintbrush icon. If we do go through the paintbrush icon, you'll notice that it allows me to like select dimension. Then I have to adjust like the margin for it. So I would need to adjust this to be like whatever center is. So you kind of have to finick with a couple of the numbers. So again, now you see this will be quick and simple. But as far as if you guys get stuck, if you're trying to add something and it doesn't show up correctly, if you guys are having issues with this, definitely let us know. We can always take a look. For the overall page, I'll go ahead and make this live just so you guys can see what it looks like. I'll just do test page, new page. So this is exactly what it will look like on your live website. So I can zoom in and zoom out. It still stays centered, but that's exactly what it will look like on the live website. To download my app, just like I said, on a computer, it will still bring them up to your app page. Scott doesn't have an app. He's not a licensed real estate agent, so his looks a little bit funky, but normally this would pull up with like your headshot and your name right here, and it pulls up your mobile app if they're on a mobile device or your page if they're on a computer. But as far as the page goes, it's exactly what it will look like. I did just get a question, how do we unpublish one of the pages? So back to this section here, consumer, site and app settings, and then agent site pages. All you would do is locate the page you want to unpublish, click on the three dots that are associated with it, click on delete, confirm, and that removes it. If you click on the page and do delete and wait a couple of seconds, it goes away and it goes back to delete. So you do want to do delete, confirm instantly, and that will remove it from your live website. Once you've done that, if you go back to your agent site pages, you'll just have a gray eyeball. It's unpublished from your live website, but you still have access to come in here and make any edits you may need. That pretty much concludes everything. If you guys do have questions, if you guys come across anything, if there's something specific you're looking to add, let us know. We do have independent tip videos that go over some of these items as well, if you're looking for something a little bit more short and sweet. But if you guys are trying to add something specific and you are just stuck, just let us know and we can always point you in the right direction. But I hope you guys got something out of today's class. And I hope you guys have a fantastic holiday as well.